Have you ever walked past a possum lying motionless beside a road or curled up in the corner of a yard and wondered if it was really dead only to find it gone the next day, as if it had vanished into thin air? Maybe you have seen one freeze in place under a porch light and thought it was putting on some kind of performance. If you have ever wondered why possums seem to play dead, then the truth is far stranger than most people imagine. For generations, people have described possums as clever little actors. The story sounds simple enough. A predator appears. The possum realizes it cannot win a fight, so it pretends to be dead until the danger passes. It feels like a calculated trick straight out of a survival handbook. But that is not actually what happens. The first surprise is that a possum does not consciously decide to play dead in the way most people think. It is not making a strategic choice the way a person might hide during a game of hide and seek. Instead, the behavior is an involuntary response triggered by overwhelming fear. Imagine a possum moving quietly through a backyard after sunset. It is searching for fallen fruit beneath a tree or investigating the scent of insects in the grass. Suddenly, a dog rushes toward it. The possum may first try to escape. It may hiss. It may show its teeth. But if the threat becomes too intense, something remarkable can happen. Its body essentially shuts down. The possum falls onto its side. Its muscles become rigid. Its eyes may remain open. Its breathing slows dramatically. Its tongue can hang from its mouth. In some cases, it even releases fluids and produces a powerful odor that resembles decay. To anyone watching, it appears dead. What makes this so fascinating is that the possum is not pretending in the normal sense of the word. Scientists describe this state as a form of tonic immobility. It is an automatic reaction controlled by the nervous system. Once it begins, the possum cannot simply snap out of it whenever it wants. In fact, the animal may remain in this state for minutes or even hours. Picture a curious fox approaching a motionless possum in a field. Many predators are attracted to movement. Chasing and catching prey is often triggered by the sight of something running. A completely still animal can interrupt that instinct. Add the smell of decay and the predator may lose interest altogether. The possum survives not by fighting and not by outrunning danger, but by becoming something that no longer looks worth eating. This strategy may sound unusual, but it is surprisingly effective. The animal we commonly call a possum in North America is actually the Virginia opossum, the only marsupial native to the United States and Canada. Unlike many mammals that rely on speed, strength, sharp claws, or powerful bites, the opossum has relatively few defenses. It is not especially fast, it is not particularly aggressive, and it certainly is not built to win battles against larger predators. Instead, evolution equipped it with a different kind of weapon. One that works by convincing danger that it has already won. The history of this survival strategy stretches back millions of years. Opossums belong to an ancient lineage. Their ancestors were already around when many other mammal groups were still evolving. Through countless generations, individuals that survived predator encounters passed along their genes. Over time, behaviors that improved survival became deeply embedded within the species. The result is a defense mechanism so powerful that it bypasses conscious control altogether. You can think of it almost like a circuit breaker in a house. When the system becomes overloaded, the breaker trips automatically. The possum's nervous system responds to extreme fear in a somewhat similar way. The animal shifts into a state that dramatically changes its behavior and appearance. What is especially remarkable is how complete the transformation can be. Researchers have observed possums becoming almost entirely unresponsive while in this condition. Their bodies may appear limp or stiff, their heart rate drops, their breathing becomes difficult to detect. For a predator searching for fresh prey, the illusion can be convincing enough to save the animal's life. And yet the possum itself is paying a price. While in this state, it is vulnerable. It cannot run. It cannot defend itself. It cannot choose when to move again. That means this behavior only works because many predators prefer living prey over something that appears dead and potentially diseased. Nature often works through trade-offs like this. A deer survives through speed. A turtle survives through armor. A skunk survives through chemical defense. The possum survives by becoming something predators choose to ignore. The more closely you look at wildlife, the more you notice that survival does not always belong to the strongest animal. Sometimes it belongs to the one that solves a problem in the most unexpected way. If you have ever watched a possum wandering through your neighborhood at night, you may have noticed another surprising thing. Despite their somewhat mysterious reputation, they are generally peaceful animals. They spend much of their time searching for food. Insects, snails, fallen fruit, small animals, even carrion. A possum moving beneath a street lamp is not looking for trouble. It is simply trying to make a living in a world filled with risks. That perspective changes how many people see them. The animal that once seemed strange or even frightening starts to look more like a quiet survivor. Every night it navigates roads, predators, weather, and human development. Every morning it finds a place to rest before darkness returns. And somehow it continues. Perhaps that is one reason people are so fascinated by possums. Beneath their unusual appearance lies a story about resilience. They have survived for millions of years, not because they dominate their environment, but because they adapt to it. Before we continue, if stories like this help you see familiar animals in a completely new way, consider subscribing to Global Wild Origins. It is always wonderful to share these quiet discoveries with people who are curious about the hidden lives unfolding all around them. Once you understand what is really happening when a possum plays dead, the moment becomes far more extraordinary than the old myth suggests. The animal is not performing a clever trick for an audience. It is experiencing an ancient survival response shaped by countless encounters between predator and prey. What looks like acting is actually biology. What seems like a decision is really a deeply rooted instinct, and perhaps that makes it even more amazing. The next time you see a possum frozen beneath a tree or lying motionless near a fence, you may find yourself looking at it differently. Instead of seeing a simple animal pretending to be dead, you are witnessing one of nature's most unusual defenses in action. A strategy refined across immense stretches of time. A response that helped generations survive long enough to pass their story forward. That quiet creature in the shadows carries a history older than most of the landscapes around it. Hidden inside its small body is a reminder that nature often chooses solutions we would never imagine ourselves. So if you ever encounter what appears to be a lifeless possum and later discover it has disappeared into the night, remember that you may have witnessed something remarkable. Not a performance, not a trick, but an ancient survival mechanism working exactly as evolution intended. And in a world that often rewards noise and strength, there is something unforgettable about an animal that survives simply by becoming still enough to be overlooked.